When you think of Tokyo, what comes to mind? Gleaming skyscrapers, right? Those crazy busy crosswalks, all that cutting-edge tech. But what if I told you that beneath all that modern gloss is a story, a super dramatic, centuries-long story of a city that was almost wiped off the map, not just once, but multiple times, only to come back stronger every single time? Okay, let's get into this epic history.
So, to get us started, I've got a question for you. Forget the usual suspects, London, Paris, Beijing. What was the biggest city on the entire planet way back in 1720? Any guesses?
The answer, and this might surprise you, is Edo, which, you guessed it, is the city we now call Tokyo. And the story of how a tiny fishing village pulled that off, lost it all, and then became the megacity we know today, well, it's really the story of three distinct lives. Each one forged an ambition, fire, and this incredible cycle of rebirth.
So let's dive into Act 1, the Shogun's capital. This is the birth of the city's very first life, this amazing transformation from basically nothing into the beating heart of a feudal empire.
So, how on earth did this happen so fast? Well, it all kicks off in 1603, when the new shogun, Tokugawa Ieyasu, makes this incredibly smart move. Instead of ruling from the traditional capital of Kyoto, he sets up his government in this little fishing village called Edo. And just like that, Japan's whole center of power shifts. It's so effective that within about 100 years, the population just explodes past 1 million people.
Now, the real secret sauce to how the shogunate kept all this power was this genius, kind of ruthless system called Sunkin Kotai. Here's how it worked. Every powerful regional lord, a daimyo, was forced to live in Edo every other year. And when they finally got to go back home to their own lands, their families, they had to stay behind in Edo. Basically, as hostages. No joke.
And the effect of this policy? Absolutely massive. I mean, Sonkin Kotai was a brilliant way to keep everyone in line and kept potential rivals busy and broke from all the constant travel. But it also had this huge side effect. It accidentally turned Edo into a boomtown, a massive consumer city filled with samurai, artisans, and merchants, all there to cater to these powerful lords and their family.
But here's where we see that theme of fire and rebirth for the first time. In 1657, the Great Fire of Maireki just tears through the city, killing over 100,000 people. It was an absolute catastrophe. But it also became an opportunity. The shogunate rebuilt with a totally new plan, with wider streets that could act as fire breaks. So right from the very beginning, this cycle of destruction and then deliberate, thoughtful reconstruction gets baked right into the city's DNA.
All right, that brings us to Act 2 in the city's second life, the Emperor City. This is where things get really wild. After more than 250 years of being totally closed off from the world, everything is about to change, like overnight.
The spark, 1853. American Commodore Matthew Perry sails these massive steam-powered warships, the Japanese called them the Black Ships, right into Edo Bay. This move forced a totally unprepared Japan to open up to the world, and it just shattered the shogun's authority. In less than 15 years, the shogunate was gone. Power was restored to the young Emperor Meiji, who then packs up his court, moves it from Kyoto to Edo, and gives the city a brand new name, Tokyo, which means Eastern Capital.
I mean, just look at this shift. It was a complete 180. The city's whole identity just flipped. The ruler went from a military shogun to a divine emperor. A feudal society led by samurai gave way to a rapidly westernizing modern nation. A country defined by isolation was suddenly open for business with the entire world. It was a total top-to-bottom reinvention. And that leads us to Act 3, Forged in Fire. Because if you thought the first two lives were transformative, this one is about near-total annihilation, followed by one of the most remarkable comebacks in all of modern history. The 20th century hit Tokyo with a brutal 1-2 punch. First, in 1923, the Great Kanto earthquake. It was a disaster that killed over 100,000 people. And then, just 22 years later, the firebombing raids of World War II, which brought a level of destruction that was even more horrifying.
Just let that number sink in for a second. Over 100,000 people killed in a single night. The firebombing created a literal firestorm that just consumed the city's wooden buildings. By the time the war ended, Tokyo was nothing but ashes and ruins.
And you can see the human impact right here. It's just staggering. The population was literally cut in half in just 5 years.
But what's even more mind-blowing is the recovery. Just 15 years after hitting rock bottom, the population had nearly tripled. It's just incredible. This was Japan's post-war economic miracle in action. Fueled by this unbelievable national determination, the country and its capital rebuilt at a breathtaking speed. And the grand finale, the big symbol of this incredible comeback? The 1964 Summer Olympics, held right there in Tokyo. You have to understand, these Olympics were so much more than just a sporting event. It was a message, a declaration to the entire world, and maybe more importantly to Japan itself. It announced that Tokyo had risen from the ashes and that Japan was rejoining the world, not as a military empire, but as a peaceful, modern, and industrious nation.
So when you put all three of these lives together, what do you get? What's the lesson here? It brings us to our conclusion: the constant transformation. Tokyo is a city that's seemingly never finished. It's always in the process of becoming something new. So here's the bottom line. Tokyo's story isn't some straight line of peaceful progress. It's a violent, relentless cycle of being torn down and built back up again, stronger. Its true identity isn't some fixed thing. It was forged in its incredible, proven ability to rebuild from the ashes. And if you look closely today, you can still see the ghosts of its past lives everywhere, in the old feudal layouts that still shape modern neighborhoods and the post-war planning that defines its infrastructure. And this isn't some new thing. There's this quote from an 18th century account of life back in Edo, and it just nails this point. It shows that this rhythm, this cycle of boom and bust, of abundance and scarcity, of creation and destruction, it's been part of the city's heartbeat for centuries. Which leaves us with the final thought. When we look at a city like Tokyo, what are we really seeing? Is the city's identity just a snapshot of what it happens to be right now? Or is its true soul, its actual identity, found in its constant, relentless capacity to become something entirely new?